I want to talk about two ways out of what feels like hell when times are particularly tough. And some of us are going through particularly tough times right now. And a lot of it is external, like a lot of us are really living in a lot of fear. And a lot of it is internal, which is our reactivity to it, which gets us anxious and depressed, understandably so. So I want to tell you what I do when I feel that way. And sometimes it's because of external things, and sometimes it's because I just get triggered into really severe depression. And there are two things that work for me a little bit. Uh, the first one is, and this is a cliche, but I think it's true. I always try to find, at least for a second or two, something that I can be grateful for, and it's usually some kind of beauty. So when things are particularly dark, I might at least see that there's a tree outside of my window, and it helps because for a second I bring my attention outside of it. So that's the first thing. I say things could be worse because I at least have the tree. And, when I have this from like my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, if you have a toothache, you can at least be grateful that your fingers work. And if you don't have your hearing, you might be grateful that at least you have your sight. If you can find something that you can say, at least I have this. So that's the first thing. The second thing is a little bit harder, which is to keep my attention not on myself and what's happening to me, but how it may be in service to something greater than me. I'll give you the most classic example in the West, which is, of course, Jesus and Christ. Jesus is an exemplar, sort of shows us what it's like when you focus on yourself right before he's crucified, because he's screaming at his father, saying, "Why hast thou done this to me? Why have you forsaken me?" And so, of course, he's saying, "You haven't done what you were supposed to be doing, and look what you're doing to me." Now let's think of him as Christ. And as Christ, when he's getting crucified, all he says is, "I commend my spirit, I commend my soul unto you." And he's not thinking about what life wasn't doing for him. Maybe he was thinking about what he was in service to for life, and that he had a unique role to play. And maybe on some level, he knew that his death would bring more life, literally. Well, everything may find some way, if we could say, what happens if we're not focusing on what is life doing for us, but what we are in service to for our life? That is the one thing that sometimes brings me some kind of solace, because at least I'm not so focused on myself. If this way of understanding things appeals to you, please check out our work at lifecenteredtherapy.com. You can certainly do work with us as a consultation. And if you really like this way of understanding life, please look at our book, The 1 Hour Miracle. I think you will find it really interesting and a fun read, and maybe we'll give you some interesting ideas. And of course, if you have any confusions about anything, which invariably we all do, please write and we can learn together, which is a great thing.